Hi guys, bienvenidos a Todo en Vida podcast. I want to welcome back any of my returning listeners. I also want to welcome anybody that's here for the first time and just start off by letting you guys know. So I ended up going to day trip. I did go to promote my business, but the amount of people that came up to me, recognized me, or just overall showed love, I just want to let you guys know I do appreciate you guys for loving me through every season in this podcast. I feel like not only have the messages that I've been able to speak about or just really put out there, I feel like you guys have been able to not only just relate to it, but I'm so thankful to have had or have a platform where I'm able to, again, convey this message and it is relatable, because I know that a lot of times we navigate life feeling like we are the only person going through this. Our thoughts are not always meant to be our friend, guys. And sometimes, even though our flesh is meant to sharpen us, we have to fight through that, because a lot of times, like I said, it can make you feel like you're alone. So the fact that I have this platform and I'm finally seeing, not that I ever did it with the intention to get gratification or validation from people, but the fact that I'm able to see that this is resonating with people and it's helping some of you guys. And in return, you guys come up to me, you guys talk to me. Don't be fooled by the tattoo, guys. If you guys come up to me, I'll always, crack a smile, embrace you guys, and just appreciate you guys, honestly, for seeing me, for loving me, and overall for just, being able to relate. And yeah, I'll go with that. If you guys ever see me in public, please say hi. Day trip was amazing. You guys are so loving. So many people, again, just showed love. So I want to thank you guys for that. This podcast has been a huge representation of the seasons of my life, and you guys have been able to see it from the beginning of the podcast. There's been a lot of personal development, character growth in the podcast. And I will say that not always did I want to keep going. There was times where the seasons I was going through, I wasn't the most proud of, not because I was doing anything wrong, but just because I felt like I always had to have it figured out. I've always been a very ambitious person, and I've always felt like I could rely on my own understanding and my own faith and my own strength to continue to move forward. And that wasn't always the case. There was times too where I would have the podcast, and I'm not going to lie, guys, I would want to kind of steer away from it because I wanted to feel like I had to have things figured out before I got onto the podcast. And that's always been the whole point of the podcast, is to be vulnerable, transparent, and make at least one person feel a little less alone. Because again, we all go through these kinds of things. So whether that is in relationships, family dynamics, you being in a household that maybe is no longer serving you purpose and you need to grow. I will say that in order for you to grow from certain situations, you do have to be delivered from those situations in order for you to grow a little bit more. So I'm going to definitely dive into that. But first year of the podcast was just, talking about things I've been through. Second year was unlearning survival. And for a bit, I was kind of in a rut where I didn't really know how to unlearn it, because again, I was just leaning on my own understanding and my own strength. And that's not always what it's going to be. This podcast has always been faith-based. And while I don't push religion on anybody, that's always been what it's been, because I can't explain the strength that has helped me prevail from each situation other than that's God's doing. So definitely want to be rooted in that. I wanted to acknowledge everybody that has showed love, that either comes up to me or again, just has let me know that this podcast has helped them. I am just the vessel. I've always said that I'm just a vessel. So yeah, we'll start with that. And I want to let you guys know that no matter the season that you're in, God will use you. And I know I sometimes say these like stories and stuff like that, but these are actual testimonies. So being in each different season, whether that has been through, me trying to unlearn survival, me trying to embrace myself more, I would talk about it on the podcast where I would say things like, and I know that that's what I had to do, where I'd have to be like, you have to pour into yourself, you have to love yourself, you have to recognize yourself. But I always stated like I didn't know how to do that. And I feel like for once in my life, like I really am at a season where I've been able to prevail from the confusion that I was in a few months ago and the depression and all that stuff, just because sometimes the weight of the world gets heavy. And like I said, your thoughts are not always meant to be your friend. You are having to fight your flesh daily because, again, it's meant to sharpen you, but it's something that you do have to fight through. So And some of you guys are probably like, well, what do you mean? Well, let's go back to like something as simple as like sometimes we are our worst critics. And especially if you're a very ambitious person, then you know it's a constant battle between wanting more and feeling like you're not doing enough. So something that I want to go back to is a saying that I've had. And the saying is, heavy is the head who wears the crown. Because even through the seasons that I was going through, there was times and moments where I felt like, why me? Like, why do I have to be the one? And I know you guys probably as an audience don't think that that's where I was rooted sometimes, but I think that tends to happen to all of us. If you feel like you are not, like you don't belong, you know, especially when you have a really genuine heart, when you have good intentions, there's going to be times where you don't feel like you belong, whether that's in the dating world, whether that's in your social circles, whether that's in a work environment. You feel like you don't belong because so many people want to be accepted of the world. And when you're not moving like that, when you're trying to stay true to yourself and true to your foundation, your morals, your respect, your boundaries, or even if you're learning how to establish those things, you know, it's trying to stay true to that in a world where everybody just wants to be accepted, you're definitely going to feel sometimes like the odd one out. And you're going to feel like, again, like, how come I don't belong, you know? And that's where the saying comes from. Heavy is the head who wears the crown. So with this podcast, I definitely feel like I've been transparent through every season. Granted, I always tried to put my best foot forward because, again, I've always been ambitious and I never wanted to seem like I didn't have it under control. But I've always been the type of person as well, I think like many of us, where we feel like we have to completely excel in all aspects of life. For me, it's like, I always felt like I had to give 110, you know, in the gym, 110 in the church. I had to be a perfect Christian. I have to be a perfect daughter. I have to be a perfect business owner. I have, you know, all these things. And the weight of the world was only the weight that I was putting on myself sometimes. And that's what we don't realize. That sometimes it's more of our flesh more than anything else. And that's what we have to learn to battle through. Okay. For some of you guys, it's probably like, well, I don't know how to battle that. Whatever season you're in right now, where you're learning, where you're feeling discouraged, where you're feeling left out, where you're feeling burnt out, this is when you're learning. So don't feel like lost. Again, behind closed doors, if I'm being completely transparent, behind closed doors, I would tell myself things like, I'm broken. And that's how I felt. I felt like I'm broken. And the thing is like, when you feel broken, but you know that your heart is rooted in a genuine place and in a good place, know that you're not broken. You're just being rebuilt. And I know it doesn't feel like that right now. I know, but your thoughts are not always meant to be your friend. Okay. So if you're feeling like that right now, I want you guys to listen to this episode and know that there is light at the end of the tunnel, but you got to chase that light. Okay. That's like saying a prayer and not doing the footwork. Okay. We gotta do the footwork. I used to say, well, I don't know what to do. Even if you don't know what to do, just put one foot in front of the other. Okay. And you're going to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Now, this podcast has always been, like I said, faith-based. So try to not lean on your own understanding. There is not one size fits all, but the recipe that has worked for me so far is, I'll give you an example. The other day, I couldn't do my 2-hour gym sesh. So I said, run your 2 miles, 15 minutes in the sauna, and let's get on with the rest of the day. Still got to clean the house. I still got to run errands. I still got to do this before I go back to work. And I'm learning now to have a balance of that because I felt like I had to fully excel in every aspect of my life. And I'm not saying that I don't want to put, you know, my best foot forward in all the different aspects of my life, whether that's business, family, my self-growth, personal development, relationships. Yes, of course, I want to do that, but I need to not overwhelm myself. And I feel like we tend to do that a lot. And that's when the burnout happened. I did talk about that on the podcast as well. But back to the saying, like, heavy is the head who wears the crown. And I feel like I've been blessed enough to have a podcast where I've been able to speak on this. And I have the gift of communication. Like, honestly, I'm learning to accept it, not because I woke up one day and was like, oh, Ashley has this gift. Like, no, there's times where I tried to shy away from my gift. And God brought me back every single time and would remind me every single time that there's a greater purpose here. Okay. Don't give me the credit. I've always said I'm just the vessel, but I'm learning too to love on myself a little bit more and embrace myself a little bit more. I'm never going to be young as I am right now. And I've said this before on the podcast about like uplifting myself and speaking more kind to myself, but I wasn't really living that truth. And I feel like sometimes we know what we need to do, but we don't know how to do it. In all fairness to those who are still learning or unlearning, they're learning how to uplift themselves, but unlearning survival. Okay. So I want to start off by saying that as well. And I just want to let you guys know, a reminder that right now, whatever season you're in, it's useful. It's useful, and you're going to be able to apply it into the next chapter of life, because life is not linear. It's not always just going to, all about progress and growth. No. It's like if you don't face the battle, the victory doesn't get savored the same. It's not appreciated the same. So I know this sounds very uplifting and like disciplined and all that, but it wasn't always like this. This is the rainbow after the rain. Okay. And for a while, I didn't even think that was going to happen. I could say now, looking back, I think I was in a place of like, honestly, like depression, because I was just so ambitious that I was just so hard on myself. And I will say this, guys, if you guys are in a season right now where you're looking to grow, but you're in a situation, and that could be you're living at home where it's not really conducive to your personal development. It could be in a relationship that you're in. You know yourself better than anybody else. God sees you when the doors are closed, when it's late at night, when you're off social media. So whatever you need to do, the more you fight what you need to do and stay stuck in comfort, I promise you, you're not going crazy. You're fighting your own intuition and you know what you need to do. Okay? If you don't know how to do it, it's fine. Like I said, put your best foot forward, figure it out along the way, and God will guide you. The thing is that don't cheat yourself out of a good life. If you know what you need to do, and that's get out of a situation or grow. If it feels scary to grow, I've also learned, and this is again me being transparent with all of you guys, because people don't talk about this, right? They don't want to be vulnerable enough because everybody wants to make it seem like, oh, everybody got it all together. The thing is, though, is that if you are not delivered from the situation you're in, you're not going to grow. And the thing is that even when you get out of that situation, there's going to be a period of solitude. And that period of solitude is going to really feel lonely. It's going to really feel like you don't belong. You're going to feel lost. You're going to feel like you're kind of like a leaf or like a feather in the wind, where it kind of just like floats around. The thing is even that season is going to serve you purpose, because you don't want to, that solitude is a gift. That bit of solitude, whether it's you being single, whether it's you moving out on your own, getting your own place, or just going on your own personal endeavors to be able to grow and have that character development. I want you to know that even that season is meaningful and it has purpose. Okay. And it's okay to feel as though you're lost. It's kind of like a train. If it gets off the track, it needs to know how to get back on. Okay. So I'm learning to speak kinder to myself, and I want you guys to do the same thing. But in order for you to speak kinder to yourself, you have to really believe and uplift yourself through the work that you're doing. I used to lean on like my own understanding, my own strength. And while there is no, perfect step-by-step recipe, I'm going to just tell you guys what has worked for me. I used to try to only and I'm telling you, I would only focus on the gym to make myself good, or I would only focus on therapy, or I would only focus on church. And life was never meant to, carry the weight of the world. And I don't want to say the weight of the world, but the weight that you put on yourself that feels like the weight of the world, where you feel like you have to fully excel in every aspect. You just have to have a balance. What does that look like? Whatever it looks like for the day. If you can get all your chores done, get the most important ones. Hey, but I also know I still need to hit the gym today. Okay, do that. Pour into yourself, And I wanted to remind you guys that that season of solitude and that loneliness that you feel, If you have a genuine heart and you feel like that, it's okay. It's okay, because so many people want to be accepted by the world. And that was never the meaning of life, to be accepted by people. Now, if we get blessed enough to have people that accept us, embrace us, and love us, even better, right? But that's where I go back to, I've been blessed to have this podcast where I've been able to convey these messages and share my testimonies, and share also the testimonies where I didn't have it all figured out. I didn't have it all together, because I'm also not going to fake the funk and make it seem like I always have. I haven't. And there's been moments where I've felt lost and things like that. And it has allowed me to, that feeling of feeling lost and feeling broken has allowed me to recenter myself, refine myself, reground myself, and know that I'm constantly evolving. So now I'm in a season where I'm really starting to say like not only say, but like see myself treating myself kinder and having a better balance. But I want to talk about that season of like loneliness. You're going to feel left out. And I've always felt left out in different social circles. I've always felt left out, like in the dating world. I don't like to keep rosters. I don't even know how y'all could do that. Y'all got too much, like, not you guys, but people have way too much time, to be keeping 4 or 5 people on a roster. Self-respect. That's all I'm gonna say. Self-respect. 2, I've always felt left out in social circles because people want to be so accepted by the world, or they're so impressed by materialistic things. And on the inside, people can have money. I've seen it. Having my business, having the platforms that I've had, while I still carry myself like a regular person, right? And that's not to undermine my success. It's not to undermine the gift that God has given me, the gift of communication. It's a gift that He keeps showing me that I have, right? So now I'm embracing it. Now I'm like, instead of questioning the why me, why is my crown so heavy? Heavy is the head who wears the crown. I'm just starting to embrace it, because God is showing me that, like, okay, this is what you got. So along those seasons, I've always felt left out. I've always felt misunderstood, because so many people want to be accepted by the world. And like I said, that was never meant to be what life is all about. I've been super blessed to have had a dad that really instilled in me to never play victim, to get myself out of the situation, because no one's coming to save you. He would always remind me to work hard. I had an immigrant dad that was an entrepreneur. He ran a 24-hour towing company. So 24 days. My dad wouldn't even take Christmases off sometimes. So if that is not the epitome of really the voice that has been in the back of my head all along life, navigating life and certain situations, my dad used to always tell me, don't be a follower, be different, like my dad. And now as I think I'm getting older, I am appreciating a lot more the dad that I've had, mistakes and all, because he did the best he could with what he had. Okay. And mistakes and all. I love my dad. He has given me an amazing foundation, an amazing conscience. So because of that, though, I always had that, I've always had the voice of the person who is indifferent in the back of my head, grounding me and teaching me. And, instead of just allowing me to just kind of like go with the wind, he's always been that voice in my head. And so it hasn't always been perfect, but to focus on more of the good, there was a lot of good lessons that came out of him constantly instilling these things into me. So yeah, that's why I would feel left out a lot of the times. And if you're feeling like that, that's a good thing. It's a gift that you have, because you could easily go, like, try it out, try to be accepted by the world. And you're going to see how sad it is, how meaningless it is, how empty it is. And if you're feeling like that, if you're feeling like you're getting beat up a little bit, that's a good sign. I promise you it is. Okay. And so I've always had that. And that's why I always felt left out. So I know a lot of you guys can relate. At least my audience can relate, because I've always asked God to allow me to attract the people that need this. And I feel like that's where we relate. I am no better than anybody else just because I'm the one sitting on the end of this mic. And again, it's not to undermine my success. It's not to undermine who I am, but it's just to stay humble and it's to stay grounded that I've been given this gift. And then we got an audience like you guys that can understand and relate. So for that, I'm definitely blessed and thankful. And I wanted to dive more into like, not only how heavy the crown can feel, but also too how your thoughts aren't, always meant to be your friend. So there was a day where, and I share these little stories with you guys. And again, I'm learning that this is my testimony. So I was on my way to work one day, and a lot of times my friends rely on me for, and I'm not talking about money, but anything like that. But I'm always like the source of like strength. I'm always a source of faith. I'm always a source of grounding for my friends and the people that are in my corner. And again, heavy is the head who wears the crown, but that's a blessed position that I've been able to be in. Whether it's been from the foundational, the way that my dad would speak to me growing up, the things that he would instill in me, the heart that I've had, the times my grandma would read the Bible with me every night before bed, just all those things that have been the components to make me who I am, or the components that have helped you guys be who you are. It's always felt a little bit heavy, but point is that day, that's kind of who I am, And so that day I'm on my way to work, and my friend didn't know. And this is why I always say it's important, guys. Like, if you guys recognize me, you guys see me in public, please say hi. One, because I be having some social anxiety sometimes, because I go out and I gaslight my own intuition where I could feel someone like watching me or something, but I'm like, nah, I'm just tripping. And then eventually I get the message like, hey girl, I saw you. And I love to embrace you guys just as much as you guys love to embrace me. So I'll just say that. So whatever, she calls me that morning, and for the most part, I'm usually like cool, calm, collected. But that morning, it was just a rough morning. I was on the phone with my dad, and I was just talking to him about the things that I had going on in business, what I was doing, and just everything that I was carrying. And I had a moment of vulnerability, and I cracked a little bit, So my homegirl calls me, and when she's calling me, I'm trying to keep it together. And eventually I couldn't. Now, the thing is if you want a village, you got to be a villager. So I have understood that, and I've implemented that in my own life. But I also have a village too. And I don't always have to be the villager. Okay. And so I was blessed. I am blessed to where that morning my girlfriend calls me, and, I crack and I tell her everything that's going on. And I'm the type of person that, I'm not even gonna lie, when I finally do cry, you'll even feel bad, because you could feel it, that I feel it, And so that morning I'm just crying and I'm telling her X, Y, and Z. And she was like, mind you, she's 9 months pregnant at this point of the conversation, during the time of this conversation. And she was like, dude, I can only imagine what you're going through. She's like, but I just want you to know, I'm actually calling you because, X, Y, and Z. And I admire the type of woman you are. I admire how independent you are. I admire how much of ambition you have. I admire how much of a hustler you are. And the whole time, mind you, I was alone with my thoughts in that moment. So I didn't feel like that. So then, but again, God always God always either sends his people or he brings me out of it somehow. Right? So then I come to the shop, I come to my salon, and I park in front of my front door. I'm about 10 feet away from the front door. And like any entrepreneur, I'm sure you guys have had the days, I wipe my tears, or whether you're a mom or a boss or whatever, when you have those leadership roles, there's days where you got to wipe the tears off and keep it pushing, So that's exactly what I did that day. And I kid you not, I didn't feel the heaviness of owning a business that day. All my clients were amazing. The day that the client that I had that was running a little bit late, I said, no worries, take your time. I'm going to go grab a coffee. I go grab a coffee. Mind you, the morning that I had was very discouraging. That's the word. The morning that I had was very discouraging, but I always know, like, I'm in control of my day. Don't let the enemy win, and just turn it around. And at the end of the day, wash away your day. Heavy on that. Wash away your day. And so I go to Starbucks, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get a little coffee. You know, it's been a rough start, but we're gonna make the most out of it. So while I'm there, the girl recognizes me. She's like, oh my goodness, I always see you on TikTok. And as simple as her giving me a chocolate chip cookie was, I don't know, call me a big little kid, but it's not that. It's just the appreciation, really the appreciation, because you don't know how much sometimes someone needs it, you know? So if you guys ever see me, the lesson that I try to say with that story is that your thoughts are not always your friend. When you want a village, you got to be a villager. And sometimes it's not always about being the villager. Sometimes the roles are going to reverse, and you're going to have those people sent to you by God that uplift you and remind you who you are. Okay. And 3, say what's up when you guys see me, because it really does. Those small acts of kindness can it'll make people feel really seen. As simple as that. And that was overall just a beautiful day. It was a learning experience for sure. But I come on here to remind you guys that heavy is the head who wears the crown. And not always is it going to feel like discipline. Not always is it going to feel motivating, but you have to be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I think I said it earlier on this podcast, or I've said it before. That's like saying a prayer and expecting the results to fall in your lap. I'm not comparing myself to God, but never would I. But it's the point that you can't ask for something and then not meet in the middle. And then I know some people say like, okay, but I don't know how. I don't know how to rewire my nervous system. I don't know how to come out of survival. That season that you're in where you kind of feel like you're in limbo, you feel like you're lost, it's going to serve a purpose. I promise you that. Now, like I said, while there is not a step-by-step play on how to be able to overcome that, I just want you guys I want to acknowledge the parts of the journey that feel discouraging, that feel down. Not because I want to give it too much attention, but because when you're in that season, you can really feel alone and it can really cause you to drift. Again, me sharing another testimony is, so I've always felt misunderstood, or I've always felt like I didn't belong just because I knew that my morals, my respect, my foundation has not been based of the world. My family would always talk to me about, faith and God and how he sees you and just how to like have better guidance in life. And throughout that journey, not only have I always been like ambitious, but I tried to lean on like my own understanding and my own faith and my own strength. And that's not the case. It really is a balance of like cover yourself in armor. And I want to touch on that because I have tried to lean on my own faith and my own strength and my own understanding. Or I tried to like solely lean on like the gym for my mental health, or solely lean on therapy. And now it's cool because my plate isn't stacked with just like one thing. It's like I got therapy once a week. If I can't make it to church, I make sure that Monday that I'm cleaning, I re-listen to the service, or not re-listen, but like I rerun the service on YouTube and I make sure I listen to that. If that day I can't make it to 2 hours in the gym, I make sure I get at least my cardio in and really just start to believe what I feel about myself. But I can't believe that if I'm not being true to myself. And that's something that I want to tell you guys is like, like I said, when the lights are off, when it's late at night and you're off social medias, whatever, you know what's not serving you purpose, or you know what you need to be delivered from. And if that growth feels scary, I want you guys to just take the leap of faith anyways. And when you're in the season of limbo, I want you to know as well that that season is going to serve a purpose. And when you get on the other side, the way that you get on the other side is by staying true to yourself and understanding that the gift that you have is not meant to be understood by people that are trying to live to please the world. Fight your flesh, fight your thoughts. And when I was listening to the service, not this last Sunday, but the Sunday before that, I do want to go ahead and take the time to shout out and acknowledge this church. Mind you, I go in there with a humble heart as, just as Ash. nobody knows. I like to still do that. I like to still go into rooms where nobody knows who I am. Nobody knows the podcast. Nobody knows the business. And what better place to do it? I go to Living World in Grand Terrace. And so there was a pastor there. He's young. He's like 25, guys. And he's there. And the service he was talking about like fighting your flesh. And the second thing that you have to fight is fear. He's like, because the enemy will try to rob you of your path and your journey before it even starts by instilling fear in you. And fear is not a fruit of the Lord. So I just want you guys to know that. So whenever you're feeling fearful, just know that that's a lie. Okay, that's the enemy right there. You guys can call it whatever you want to. If you guys don't believe in spiritual warfare, I'm so sorry. There's still a lot of learning to do. There's a lot of maturing to do, because that is real, guys. That is very real. And so whatever. So a point is that when he was talking about that, I was like, this is so true. But he said, like, you need to cover yourself in God's armor. Okay, what does that look like? Gotta go to church. At least be open to learning. Okay. Mind you, I grew up going to one church my entire life, and I had to still venture out. And, you know, I had to like really gain a sense of self and my own journey, my own place to go to and learn and cover myself in like scripture and continue to learn. You're always going to be a student in life. I'm not saying that because I go to church. I'm not saying I'm the perfect Christian or I know every verse off the Bible. No, what I'm saying is that these are key components to rehabilitating the version of you that feels broken. Okay. It's like you have to be able to train yourself. And I want to go back to this. It was a Bible verse that he had stated that day. And I was like, oh, that's so true. Okay. Let me read it off to you guys. Because it says right there, how essentially you have to train your body like an athlete. And the real strength and the real fight starts to happen in your preparation. So let me go back to that. 2 seconds. I'm going to find it. It is 1 Corinthians 9:27. I discipline my body like an athlete training it to do what it should. Otherwise, I fear that after preaching to others, I myself might be disqualified. What I'm trying to say is the real work is in the preparation to be the person that you want to be. Okay? It's not in the Instagram posts. It's not in being accepted of people by the world. It's in the preparation. Okay? So in order for you to prevail, again, it's going to be in that season of feeling like you're in limbo. It's going to be in that season of feeling like you're broken. You're not broken. You're just being rebuilt. And if you feel like you've been getting beat up, that's also something that the pastor said. He's like, if you feel like you're getting beat up, that's a good sign. Now, did I always see it like this? No, I did not always see it like this. I didn't always recognize that the gift that I have, or even the gift that you have, the gift of compassion, the gift of being genuine. Do you know how hard that is to find in today's day and age? Like someone who's genuine, kind-hearted, rooted in a good place, not driven by money, materialistic things, lust, a roster. So if that means, and I want you guys to hear this, and I'm even listening to it as I say it out loud. If you not being accepted by any of those things makes you feel like you don't belong, what a gift that truly is. But don't let the enemy win to make you feel like you need to be discouraged. Back to sharing a testimony, I have a younger cousin that joined the army straight out of high school. And when we asked why he joined, he was like, well, because I didn't want to feel lost. I didn't want to feel like I wasn't doing anything coming straight out of high school, which I think that I talk about being in a season of like limbo. And I think we can all relate to at least that. When you graduate high school, it's like, okay, what's next? Same thing with like seasons in life. You say, okay, I'm going to chase this dream job, and you get it. What's next? I'm going to get this house. Okay, you got the house. What's next? Oh, the HOA said I got to finish the backyard within the first year. Okay, you see, like we constantly do this, right? And so he ends up joining the army. And mind you, his name is Jacob. And Jacob since he was little. He's been a lot like me. Has a good heart. He's genuine. He's loving. He's just amazing. So whatever, he went into the military to not feel lost. And sometimes we get so busy with our own lives, and we get so busy with our own, thoughts and issues and just trying to grow, that we forget that it's not just us, So this time that he came home for a bit, we go on a hike, and he was just telling me like how lonely it could be in there, and he is, me texting him today talking about, I'm going to talk about him a little bit, me telling the whole tea. No, but he is very smart. So he is in telecommunications. He's not, and this isn't to undermine anybody else, but he's not, he's more the brain work, not the muscle. Does that make sense? I mean, he's a big boy too. He could, put in the muscle if he wanted to as well, but his gift is in telecommunications, right? Which, what a coincidence. I'm talking about how we're so relatable, and I see a lot of myself in him, whatever. And my gift is communication. So that's his. And he was just telling me like how left out he felt, because he's the type that, well, if you guys know, it is what it is. A lot of people in the army, they tend to drink or whatever. And like, that's their source of like an outlet. A lot of times they resort to like alcohol. Jacob, he'll gladly take a chocolate milk and maybe some Skittles or something, versus a beer or a drink or whatever. So it started to weigh on him, being away from family, things like that. And it leaves you with a lot of time to yourself. So when, we got to talking about it, I reminded him, I told him, should I? I think I should. Let me tell you guys. I'll give you guys a little summary of exactly what I told them so that you guys can get a better idea. So I told them, I want to let you know how proud I am of you, not just for joining the army, but for always remaining true to yourself. For being kind, loving, and taking a leap of faith to chase a better future. As you navigate and experience life and the world, you'll see for yourself how rare and special that is. Never ever let this world change your heart. Having this gift is something that won't always feel like a gift, because so many people would rather be a follower. Don't be blinded by people of the world. Romans 8:18. Consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing to the glory that will be revealed to us. I just told them, never forget every season is temporary. The bad, the good, all of it, Jake. Without the struggle, we don't value the victory the same. You have a family that has loved you since day one, and guardian angels watching over you, which if you guys are blessed enough to have guardian angels watching over you, then you know that the spiritual warfare and the fight isn't just, it's not a fight that you're fighting alone, okay? And I told them, I once questioned, what good is it to have a heart this big? And I swear the world needs more people like us. Hang on when you question if you made the right choice. Your future self will thank you. Your future family will thank you as well. Love always, your big cousin Ash. So while I read that letter to you guys right now, that also applies to all of you guys too. Okay? Hold on, because your future self is going to thank you. And this season that you're in is not always going to feel like a gift, okay? But remember, you're not looking to be accepted by people of the world, okay? You have a greater purpose, you have a gift, and as you navigate life and the world itself, you'll see how many lost souls that there are. So while you are rooted in faith and you're rooted in a genuine heart, stick to that. More people need to see that. However, in order for you to prevail, it's going to happen in the preparation, okay? It's going to happen when no one's looking. It's going to happen when no one's giving you credit. It's going to happen when you don't feel seen. That's where the true test of faith and strength comes in. Now, how do you prevail? Staying true to yourself and really chase you bettering yourself. Like I said, the recipe for me of as far as like balancing church and balancing family time and filling my cup, That's going to look different for all of you guys, but be aware and pay attention to that. And eventually, when you continue to remain true to yourself and you do that work and you forget that your prize is not one that can be obtained physically, nor will it perish. Okay? You're not going to get a golden trophy. You're not going to get a golden 14-karat medal. You're going to get the gift of peace. You're going to get the gift of salvation. You're going to get the gift of confidence. And when you do, there's going to be someone else that's going to come to you, whether that's like a younger sister, a cousin, or whatever, that's going to come to you, and they're going to feel the same. And that moment is going to allow you to reflect and almost be like a mirror. And yeah, that's just what I wanted to tell you guys. And I just want to remind you guys, and I want to thank you guys for allowing me to have this platform. I want to thank God first and foremost for allowing me to be a vessel. Now, I always felt like I had to be perfect. And I know a lot of people hear the topic of faith and they hear God. And again, I don't want to talk so much about religion because, that's a whole other topic itself. But I know how discouraging it could feel sometimes, because we feel like we need to be perfect in order to be in the gym. We feel like we need to be a perfect business owner in order to be successful. We feel like we need to be a perfect partner in order to be loved, or we need to be a perfect person in order to receive love, or you don't have to be perfect. That goes back to the whole topic of like fear not being a fruit of the Lord. Like that's, that goes back to like spiritual warfare. It goes back to all those things. And I don't want you guys to allow your thoughts to win, because your flesh is the first thing that you have to battle. And it's also meant to sharpen you though. Okay. I'm learning that along the way. I'm not giving this advice because I've mastered it. I'm giving this advice because I'm learning it. And I wouldn't even say it's advice. It's more like a relatable testimony. And I'm still learning to walk more in my faith. I'm still learning I feel like I've done a lot of self progress to love myself and speak to myself more kindly and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a journey nonetheless. And I don't want you guys to have those thoughts consume you that you have to be perfect or that you're the only person going through this. And if you keep chasing that light at the end of the tunnel, kind of like when you put in the prayer request and then you do the hard work, and you meet God in the middle, it's going to be answered. Just be patient and don't be consumed by things of the world. Okay. They're not fulfilling. It's not fulfilling at all. I promise you. If you guys want to, I think it's safe to say I've been one of God's not only strongest soldiers, I've also been one of his more stubborn soldiers that I felt like I had it all. As far as like the strength, the work ethic to persevere, and eventually you're going to get burnt out. Eventually you're going to have to, relearn. You have to be willing to learn, unlearn, and relearn. And that's in every chapter of life. And along the way, just keep chasing that little light at the end of the tunnel. If you have a good heart, if you have a genuine heart, if you're rooted in a good place, then that little light, even when it feels dim, it's still there. And it's still telling you to push forward and listen to it, because the rest of the thoughts, it's a lie. Okay. If you want to, como es el dicho, mess around and find out, go ahead, chase it. Just like I chased the business, just like I tried chasing $1,000 days, just like I tried chasing being perfect in the gym, just like I tried chasing being a perfect Christian. Like, that's funny, huh? The word perfect. Like, what does that actually even mean? Who is perfect? So I wanted to acknowledge that, I wanted to acknowledge the rain to remind you guys how beautiful the rainbow can be. But it doesn't happen overnight. You got to weather the storm. And I come to say all this in hopes that you guys don't feel alone. And just like as a vessel that's learning as well. And then I come on this podcast and then I talk about it. And I learn it through testimonies. I learn it through seeing, people like my cousin. I learn it through my village that is sent to uplift me on the days that I don't have strength. I'm reminded through the girl at Starbucks that gave me a chocolate chip cookie because she sees me on TikTok. I'm reminded through all these little things, okay? And God will send you your own reminders. And if you guys ever see me in person, please say what's up. I would love to embrace you guys. I would love to give you guys a hug. And I would love to... If there's any interaction I can have in that moment with you where I uplift you and whatever, I'm down for that, because you also need community. And that's what this podcast has been. It's been community. So with that being said, I want to thank you guys for being part of my community. I want to, should have started with that, thanking God. But yeah, I hope that this is just a reminder. Sorry. Actually, no, not sorry. She was getting a little emotional or whatever, but that's okay, because that's what my heart is. My heart is genuine. And if you guys were able to relate, that's awesome. Send this to somebody that you guys feel like might need it. Thank you guys so much for being a part of Todo en Vida podcast, because really though, it's like I'm behind the mic and you guys are the ones, I guess you could say, like, I don't want to say like pushing the weight, but you guys are the ones that just keep this going. So I wanted to thank you guys. Sorry if I made you guys like a little sad or whatever, but I hope that I was really able to just overall uplift you guys and remind you guys of the beauty that happens after the storm. Okay. I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining Todo en Vida podcast. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow us on YouTube, follow us on Spotify, whatever it is. If you guys see me in person, say hi. And don't forget, heavy is the head who wears the crown. Don't try to be accepted of the world. And peace out. Love you guys. Tune in for the next episode. Bye, guys.